Yo, what is good, everybody? Jay What If's back at it again with What If Deku had Asta's Grimoire. Today, you know what? This is gonna be the final part. I know you guys like this series, so without further ado, I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the support on this series. I will be dropping a full movie tomorrow if you guys would rather just watch that. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, we left off last story with a group of people entering frame. It was the Wild, Wild Pussycats. And they all introduced them and they're like, "What took y'all so long? Y'all took way too long. We cleared this forest in about 10 minutes. We cleared this forest in about 10 minutes whenever we were y'all's age. And y'all took 3 hours? We were waiting here for y'all the entire time." And everybody's like, what do you mean? Like, you didn't have to deal with monsters. Like, it was all her quirk. And then the blonde one was like, "Yeah, you're right." And Mandalay is just like, "Shh, you're not supposed to tell him." And she's just like, "Oh, my bad." And the dude is like, "Regardless, you should have made it here way faster. You guys are aspiring young heroes. I mean, yeah." I don't really know what else to add there, but you know. But anyways, so Deku is just like, "Oh wait, yeah." Starts talking to Mandalay. "Oh yeah, who's that kid?" And Koda walks into frame, and Koda's just like, "Leave me alone." And Mineta walks up to him and he just squats, and Koda squats down and just rails him in the balls with his fist, and Mineta just goes, "Not the jewels." And Koda just stands over and is like, "How are you twice my age and still shorter than me? That is honestly embarrassing." And Deku just starts snickering under his breath, like, "Oh crap, like that's crazy." And the wild put the WWPC, uh, what they do is they're like, "All right, even though it took you guys 3 hours, we're deciding to be kind of kind, and we made dinner for y'all. And it's just a little bit of curry, and just know this is the only night we're gonna be doing this for y'all. Every other night, you're gonna be cooking for yourselves." And uh, Mandalay, and then the whole class is like, "Yeah, let's go!" And they all go and they eat dinner, and well, they're just chilling. And this actually introduces the bath scene, and we do have a scene similar to canon where Mineta tries climbing the wall and Koda stops him, and Koda is about to fall. And this time, Deku just like didn't he did it in a different means. He kind of just walked over there, sensing that he was about to fall, and just caught him, and then brought him inside and explained everything. And Mandalay explained everything about his parents and blah blah blah. And after this, the training starts. The 2 week training period starts, and I'm gonna say, like, every single night he sees Koda walking out there, and he's like, I should probably go talk to that kid one day. I do know what it's. I think I'm one of the few people that's actually gonna know what it's like to not have my parents, or know who they, and like know like what they are. And one day he decides to go talk to him, and they just start talking. Koda's like, "You people like you make me actually want to try and be a hero." And Deku's just like, "That's good, kid. I just want you to know, if you ever want somebody to look up to, you can always look up to me, or All Might, of course. I mean." And Koda's just like, "Yeah, I guess so." And after this, they just start like becoming close. And he's like, "How about you come join Class 1A? They're all just like me. They're just trying to be heroes." And Koda's like, "Wait, I mean, I know that, but they're not like you. They're not gonna understand." And Deku's like, "Trust me. If there's any people in this world that would be able to not understand and still be able to comfort you, it's them." So Koda, he goes and joins them, and he actually has a lot of fun, like smiling and laughing. And he starts seeing Deku, or Izuku, as this like amazing person. And like he mouths under his breath, like, "Thank you" to Izuku. And Deku just nods and is like, "Of course, kid." And after this, we like keep on with our 2 weeks of training, and we're gonna say Deku, what he does is in its time is he has like people throw attacks at him from all 360 degrees, and he actually learns how to sense the key and be able to dodge it, even whenever he's not looking and from a good ways away. And all of a sudden, he feels like a really weird presence out in the forest, but he doesn't know like how to put his finger on it. And So he just keeps training. This time he's training to control his anti-magic. Or anti-quirk, I guess. And he actually gets a full grasp on a 1/2 form of Liebes, like devil form. And he learns to control it fully, and he goes out and explores the woods, and like because he keeps like sensing this like evil key, like this malicious, and he sees Shigaraki, Muscular, all of the villains, and he immediately is like, oh crap, and he immediately runs back. He tells Aizawa, and Aizawa checks it out for himself, being silent, like, and he goes back and is like, the kid's not lying, like, there's a bunch of villains, and I guess they had planned on attacking this place. So Mandalay is like, okay, I'll call the heroes before they try and cancel us out. So she calls a bunch of heroes, and Aizawa was like, all right, kids, I'm not gonna have another USJ. You guys are coming with me. And he ends up like taking everyone, he takes everyone back to UA, and they continue their training for the next like week. And after this, we'll say it's like Christmas time, so they actually have like a 2-month long break where Izuku's mostly just training while he's doing this, and he's hanging out with Mirko and Uraraka a lot. And actually, what ends up happening is like for the first month, he actually goes and he lives up in the mountains for like a while, and like near his like place, and he ends up finding a new like man, I cannot speak right now. Y'all, give me some grace. I cannot speak. He goes and he like explores the strong quirk region, basically just the strong magic region in Black Clover, and he finds a bunch of monsters, and he just starts defeating them and just honestly just trying to be himself and just like have fun. And while he's doing this, he actually notices like a page in his book that he hasn't really like explored yet. Like he's just flipping through his book one night, and he sees, wait, more writing? I didn't even realize. So the next day he activates his grimoire, and he's like, now the new one. And all of a sudden a flat like handle and like a sword comes out with a little curved edge. And he's like, what? Wait, what? And it's like a curved tip that curves back into the blade. And he's like, what is this? And something's telling him it's called the Demon Destroyer Sword. And he's like, whoa, this thing is releasing a bunch of anti-magic, anti-quirk. Same thing. And he's like, that's so cool. That might actually make like unlocking higher forms of my transformation. And he's just trying to control it, but he cannot get a grasp of it. Like he can't pump any more into his body, or he feels like he's about to explode. And after this, the 2-month training period is done, or like the 2-month break period for Christmas is done. And after this, they all go back to UA, and well, they realize that a few of their students are missing. Tokoyami and wait, where's Bakugo? The normal, like, loud, rash-headed kid, he's not here. So Aizawa immediately calls the parents, and they're like, wait, we thought he was just going to school this morning. Did he not show up? And Mitsuki and Tokoyami's parents immediately get worried, and Aizawa's like, that's strange. And he goes and tells, like, he runs out of the room and goes and tells Nezu, and Nezu's like, that is odd indeed. And then there's a police report, and then there's like a police thing that's like Muscular's out causing havoc, and is like, if you want to see your 2 kids again, UA, I think the name was Katsuki Bakugo and Tokoyami, if you want to see those brats again, you're gonna have to come and fight me, and then go and fight the big boss, the big dog. And Aizawa was just like, wait, what? And Nezu is just like, get All Might and go send him. And Deku, he's like, he gets an alert on his phone, and he's like, wait, Bakugo is what? Tokoyami, no! And he immediately activates his 1/2 form, and he flies out the window. And it's now nighttime in the Camino Ward, and we're gonna say that like a bunch of different heroes went and tried to stop Muscular, and it was a bloodbath, to say the least. And that's all I'm gonna say is they finally brought him down and detained him because of Aizawa like getting there, and eventually they detained him, and After this, in Camino Ward, like we're gonna say they were on two opposite sides, so All Might would have to go there and then go all the way over there. But he went to Camino Ward and saw All For One, and he was like, "All For One, give me my students back." And Deku is just like, he's just flying as fast as he can, and he's just like, "Please, I have to make it. I can't let Tokoyami die." Like, not really thinking about Bakugo, because he cares about Bakugo, but it's like they have a very tumultuous relationship in that sense, where they're more rivals, but like he still wants to see the best for him. And he flies through, and he like stops for a second just to like pee over, and he sees All For One like charging up, and he's like, "Great, this is my time, All Might. I need you to take one attack, just one, and I'll be right back." And he flies in at super fast speeds, grabbing Tokoyami and Bakugo and flying away with them, and is like, "Are you two all right?" And Tokoyami's like, "Yes, thanks to you." And Bakugo's like, "I could have handled it myself." And Bakugo's like, "Also, stop carrying me. I can fly myself." And Deku's just like, "Yeah, no, no can do." So he places them around like a city full of people, so that way they don't draw attention to themselves. And he immediately flies back, and Bakugo's like, "Wait, not without me." And Deku's already gone. And he's like, "You stay here. You already went through all this nonsense. You too, Tokigami." And he immediately just bursts off, and he sees another attack about to go at All Might, and All Might's just like on his last leg, like about to get hit, and he jumps in front of him with the Demon Slayer sword, and he slams it down in like the massive burst into the ground, and he's just like, "You're gonna have to do a lot more than that to kill this guy. Now that he has me here, you're done." And All For One is like, "Odd. You and your students really care about you, don't they? Do they not know about that thing?" Referring to One For All and his like ability and his like de-transformation thing. And Deku's like, "Regardless of what it is, I don't really care. However, I can't help but to not let a good hero die." And he immediately like and he immediately starts flying at All For One in his half form, and he realizes it's not enough, and like he gets slammed into the ground by All For One's giant hand, and he makes Izuku watch as he kills All Might. And Deku's like, "No, no, no!" And he releases a massive burst of anti-magic, and he releases his like 3/4, like 75% like demon form, and he's just like, "No, I won't let you." And he goes and he just growls, like the steam of his like going from his mouth, both of his eyes like blacked out, like his right eye is red, and the horn, like both the horns and his wing growing like double in size, and he just like speed blitzes towards All For One, and this goes on for like 15 minutes, and eventually it's like he sends All For One flying, and he was about to go in again, but All Might catches him on his last leg, and he's like, "Calm down, Izuku. There's no point. He's gone now." And Deku, he just calms down a bit, and he's like, "Wait, I noticed this form before." And he pulls out his Demon Dweller sword. I mean, his Demon Destroyer sword, and he starts channeling it, and he finally gets his 75% completely like locked, like he controls it. And All Might's like, "If you think you can control it," and he's like, "Yeah, it's putting a massive strain on my body, but yeah." And All Might's like, "Okay." And All For One just starts clapping like, "Very good. I'm honestly surprised. You've learned so much just from one battle, but it's not enough." And All For One just immediately jumps back in, about to punch Izuku. And Izuku, sensing the key, he dodges this, but he realizes it's headed straight for All Might. So he ducks back into it with his Demon Slayer sword, trying to block as much of the blow as he can, but he ends up getting knocked back with All Might, like in kind. And he's just like, he hits the wall, and he's just like, "What?" And he spits out blood, and he spits out spit, and it's just like, "Dang, it's still not enough. What can I do?" And he just sees All For One pummeling All Might, and All Might barely able to block and dodge. Um, and Deku's like, "No, I can't let this happen." And Deku, in this moment, it's as if time has stopped. He ends up going into his mindscape, and he sees Liebe, which is, if you guys have seen Black Clover, it's his adopted brother. And he's like, wait, who are you? And Liebe puts his hand on Izuku's shoulder and is like, calm down, brother. I'll take it from here. And taking over Izuku's body, leaving Izuku in shambles. Like, brother? And he's just like trapped in his mindscape, and Liebe takes over Deku's body and just like flies over, slamming fists and swords and cutting down All For One as best as he can. And he pulls out he slams it away from him, and he pulls out his demon dweller sword, throwing an anti-quirk slash at him, and is like, oh, it's not over, it's not over yet, he says, and his like in like a really weird and different voice, and All Might's like, kid, is that you? And Liebe Izuku looks back at him and is like, don't worry, All Might, I'll save you. And he pulls out the demon destroyer sword, and he points it at all For One, like draining him of all of his quirks, and he's like, in about 10 seconds, all of your quirks are gonna be gone. And All For One's like, you don't have the power to do that. And he's about to launch another attack at Izuku, and he realizes that his quirk is gone. So what he does is he speed blitz Izuku, punching the sword, knocking it out of his hands, and he's like, and Liebe's like, oh, I've never seen that one before, drawing the quirk back, and lands a massive blow on All For One again, sending him flying. And he's like, well, I was gonna save this for the big guy over there. And he just starts gathering all of his quirks in one, a little bit less powerful than in canon, and he launches it at Izuku, and he's just like, oh, yeah, okay, bro. And Liebe just goes back in the mindscape and is like, yeah, there's no blocking or dodging this. If either of us get hit with this, then it's wraps. And quite frankly, I don't have enough we don't have enough energy to be able to tank that, so I need you to do something for me. And he goes over to his brother, and Liebe shakes his hand and is like, this is a binding vow. You may call on my power in any way, shape, or form, but if every single time you do, if you go unconscious or anything, I will take over. And I want you to know it's not going to be pretty for whoever you're fighting. Like, they are not going to be living. And Deku was like, I'm perfectly fine with that. And they shake hands, and they create the binding vow on their wrists. And immediately we just see a scene of Deku in his full armor form, and he's even faster with 2 wings sprouting out, all 4 horns, and he's just like, All Might, be prepared. And All Might's like, wait, what? Where did you get all this stuff from? Like, looking up at Izuku, and Izuku's like, okay. And he just he makes what's it called? He flash steps, getting All Might out of the way, and he takes his demon dweller sword and his demon destroyer sword, and he slashes, combining both of them, creating a massive anti-slash attack, or like an anti-quirk slash attack, slashing All For One's blow in half. And then he stabs both of the demon destroyer and demon dweller swords into the ground, pulling out he pulls out the demon slayer sword, holding it in front of him. He holds it above his head and says, Black Definer! And he slashes, and it cuts All For One in half. Like basically in half. Like, we're just gonna say, like, it crosses his heart, and All For One is gone. Like, he ain't surviving that. Like, and after this, Deku was just like, whoa, I really like this form. Like, I can actually feel everything. And Deku's like, whoa, but I'm running out of energy. Hey, Liebe, take the form out. And Liebe nods, and he cancels the form. And he goes into his basic regular form, and his base form, and he falls into All Might's arms. And then we get a scene of All Might taking Izuku from the hospital, to the hospital, and he's sitting with him. And the second Deku wakes up, the dog cop walks in and is like, okay, kid, well, you just killed a villain, but, and that's not really allowed, much less because you don't have a hero's license, so you could really be facing some jail time. And Izuku's like, please, sir, I'm so sorry. It was just, I needed to. There was no other way. And he puts his hand up, and he's like, listen, kid, because All Might was there, we're just gonna let him take the fall for this. He's gonna have a little bit of stuff that happens with him, but we don't want you to have to worry about it. You're in no harm at all. Actually, I came here to thank you for your service And he's like, wait, what? And he's like, of course, this won't be brought out to the public at all. Like, you're not going to be able to talk about this to anyone. And if you do, then we will have to make you face legal action. And he's like, yes, sir. And and the dog is like, good. And he just like walks out and he's like, until next time, little kid. And he walks out of the room and All Might's just sitting there like, man, kid, you're something else. That quirk. And he's like, wait, what even is your quirk? And he's like, oh, I'm quirkless. And he's like, wait, what? And Deku's like, okay, scratch that. I have a book. I have a grimoire quirk, an anti-quirk grimoire quirk, whatever. And All Might's like, okay, kid. And he's like, anyways, what was that form? And he was like, it was just something it's just something that me and my brother did. And he starts smiling, like holding his like heart, and he's just like, thank you, brother. And All Might's like, wait, what? And he's like, don't worry about it, All Might. I just want to say, everything I did out there, I did it because I wanted to see you live and thrive. Because like I said, I can't let a good hero die and make the world a far worse of a place. And All Might's just like, thank you, kid. And Deku says, of course, anytime. And he stands up and he's like, oh yeah, I'm also all better now. And All Might's like, you sure you did sustain some like crazy enemy like injuries? And he's just like, yeah, light work, no reaction. And All Might's like, wait, what? And Deku's like, again, don't worry about it. I just heal like super fast. And he's just like, oh, that's so strange. And Deku's like, don't worry about it. So after this, they have like about, we'll say, a week break. Or no, they'll probably have a lot longer than that. But they go back to school and they just have regular classes like English. I'm not going to go through the list again. You guys already know what I'm about to say. So, and then finally, Aizawa was just like, welcome back, kids. I'm so happy that everyone's okay and everyone's accounted for in class. And everyone's like, yeah. And he's just like, okay, so I'm going to say something. Y'all are going to have dorms. And this is something that is forced. And if you don't want to do it, then we're going to have to take other actions along with your parents. And everybody agrees to it, like, immediately. Deku's like, I don't really have a house, so, like, I'm just using Momo's guest house. And Momo starts blushing, and Todoroki's like, wait, what? Because we know. And Deku's just like, oh, yeah. And Uraraka and Mirko get super jealous at Momo and was like, wait, he actually took the offer? No way. And anyway, so that was that scene, and Deku's just like, anyways. And Aizawa was like, kids, quiet down. I said quiet down. Grabbing his like scarf and raising his hair, making his eyes go red. And even Izuku quiets down from this, like terrified from this. And he's a literal devil. Like, and Aizawa was like, good. Anyways, as I was saying, we're going to be having dorms implemented. Also, I want to tell you guys this now. We're going to have the hero license exam. And everybody's like, wait, what? And he's like, it's so that way we can get you a permit, so that way you can actually do a little bit of hero work with underneath the pro heroes, we'll say administration, like admin, whatever. And everyone's like, whoa, that's so cool. When is it? And he's like, you guys have 2 months. Reminder, everybody that's going to be taking it with you knows this as well. So be best. You better be training. And everybody's like, yes, sir. And so after this is like a 2-month training arc with everybody like training their hardest. And Deku, what he's doing is he's doing stamina and he's doing strength training. So that way he can hold out that full form for much longer. Because we'll say the most he could hold out his form would be 60 seconds originally, just because we'll give him at least that much, and then he could only use it once per day because he would just pass out. So now we're gonna say he can use it for after 2 months, seeing as much as he grew in 6 months. I'm gonna say that's that much of it. So I'm going to say, I would say he can gain about 10 minutes of his full demon form, and he can do it he can do it twice per day, but only for the 10 minutes. So if he did it 5 minutes before, he can only do it 5 minutes for a second time. If he did for 2 minutes, then he could do for 8 minutes the second time. But any more than that, and he's cookies. Like, he can't do it a third time yet because like actually activating it costs so much stamina. So after this, like they all go back to class. Like they're all still in class, but the next day they're in class after the 2 months of training, and everybody looks like they developed quite a lot because they had the whole training arc with everybody there, like with all of the pro heroes and everything, and everybody grew quite a bit. Like I would say a little bit more than in canon, just because it's like I just feel like it. Like we love overpowered 1A. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways. Aizawa like announces that like when the hero like exam is, and everyone's like, yeah, let's go, and he's like, you better take it seriously because I know everybody else will be, and he says that under his breath, and everybody's like, wait, what? And he's like, don't worry about it, y'all will do perfectly fine. And he goes to like, it starts the hero like he takes everybody on the bus and goes to the exam place, and Miss Joke's like on her regular type stuff, and she's like, hey Aizawa, you ready to be my husband yet? And he's like, no, go away, get away from me. And Miss Joke is like, good joke, I know you want to marry me, so I'll be able to do it one day. And Aizawa's like, just get away from me, please. And everybody's like, ooh, Aizawa has a crush. And Aizawa's like, no, she has a crush, I don't know why. And Miss Joke's like, oh, don't worry, he's a little sweetheart whenever we're alone. And he's just like, no, I'm not, now go away. And Miss Joke's like, man, you're always so mean to me, just marry me already. And he's just like, go away from me. And she finally walks off, and we have the same scene of how they all walk towards, and like how like all of the students walk towards and are like, we're gonna be so much better than y'all. And anyway, so Deku's like, yeah, no, y'all aren't beating me. Like, I'm gonna be so far with you. Like, even that dude. And he points to the dude who's just like towering over him, meaning Inasa, and he's like, even he can't stand up to me. And Inasa's like, I am honored to be in your presence. And he's like, dude, just chill out. It is not that big of a deal. And Inasa is just like, oh, I will beat you. And he, like, under his breath, and he's just like, yeah, no, you're not. And Inasa is just like, wait, you heard that? And he's like, yeah, you're not very subtle with it. And Inasa's like, I'm so sorry, banging his head against the floor. And he's like, and Deku's just like, you do that one more time, I'm gonna take it that you're being disrespectful to me. And Inasa's like, no, I mean no disrespect. And Deku's just like, whatever. So finally they all walk in, and they have the regular scene of how the announcer's just like, kids, this is what we're gonna be doing, blah blah blah, and go, like what he does in canon. I don't fully remember actually, but anyway, so Deku immediately just speed blitzes and tags 2 people with his half form, and it's kind of plain and simple. I mean, he passes like immediately because he can just speed blitz people. Like even if he used his 1/4 form, like it would be more than enough. Like he fought all for one and won, basically alone too. So, anyways, and then I don't see the support one coming in, like really into any troubles. Like he would take out Orca no problem, and he's fairly approachable whenever he's not in his demon form. I would say that would be like the only points that he got docked off for, was that his demon form was not approachable at all. But he has like a really nice smile, and he helps the old ladies and the old men, and everybody's just like, I'm very impressed. And he's just like, thank you. And he takes out Killer Orca. Like, I'm gonna be so fair with y'all, like, Orca stands no chance. Like, even with all of the sound wave vibrations, I feel like Deku would just like not dodge, but I feel like he would just like pass through it. Like it would like affect him, but he would just be like, I'm pushing through this anyways. Like I don't see a world where anybody at the hero license exam could keep up with him. And then after this, Aizawa's like they go back to class, like all the regular people pass. I'm gonna say even Bakugo passed in this one, because I don't feel like Bakugo and Todoroki both passed in this one, just because they had like a goal to achieve, you know? And yeah. So after this, they all go back to class. Everybody is a hero now. Blah blah blah. So how do I want to take this? And then Aizawa's just like, okay kids, you're gonna be having to take another hero internship. And everyone's like, cool. And Deku just like walks up to him after class and is like, yo, can I intern with you? And Aizawa's just like, sure, why not? Like, I'm interested to know more about that quirk, or, well, whatever it is. And he's like, yeah, you can't cancel it out. And I was like, I'm sure I probably could. And I was always like, yeah, no, I definitely couldn't. And Deku's just like, "Ah." After this, the whole I'm just gonna kind of like breeze through a bunch of it because I don't see anything like Aizawa being able. I don't see anybody really being able to teach Deku anything unless it was like maybe he like because he already knows like weights like a lot. Like even within all of his like abilities, like he has Demon Slayer, Demon Dweller, Demon Destroyer. He has all of his hybrid, and then he has his 100% form. He has like an amazing battle IQ, not a great regular IQ, but he has an extreme sensitiveness, and his intuition is like on point. And so yeah, the overhaul raid is announced, and we're gonna say that like they're about to like start the raid, and he actually sees like Stain lurking in the shadows of like trying to pick off heroes, and he's like, "Hey Aizawa, go in without me. I'll catch up with you." And he's like, "All right, you better." And Deku's just like, "Of course." And he goes over and talks to Stain, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And Stain is like, "I'm about to pick off some of these fake bro heroes." And Deku's just like, "How about you help us out? This overhaul dude, he kidnapped this girl apparently who doesn't deserve it." And he's like, "Oh, I'd be happy to end him." And they all run in there, and he's like, "I can sense his key. He's in the biggest room possible." And the little girl, she's in a different room. And he intercoms this over to Aizawa, like telling him exactly where Aerie is. And he's like, "It's so creepy how you can do that." And he's like, "Yeah, ask the person I'm with." And Stain says over the overcom, and he says, "Hey, Eraserhead, I just want you to know, just like All Might, you're one of the few that I actually respect." And he laughs over the intercom, and Aizawa's just like, "Deku, no way! You did not bring that villain here!" And Deku's like, "He's not a villain, he's an anti-hero. He just so happens to hate villains and heroes. Like, he feels bad for the kid that got trapped." And Aizawa's like, "Fine, but after arresting him." And he's like, "Yeah, no you won't. He's gonna run away. I mean, even I can't catch him." And Aizawa's like, "Wait, what?" Deku was obviously lying, and he was just like, "Yeah, no, he's way too strong even for me." And Stander's just like, "Oh, you shouldn't. Stop." Like, basically trying to be modest, and I was just like, whatever, kid." And he, like, turns off the intercom, and Deku and Stain immediately, like, bum rush the overhaul room. And I actually see it to where, like, Stain would try and be like, they would like start comboing overhaul because they can't touch him, like, but they're both swords users, like there's no shot. And obviously overhaul, like, if he touches their sword, it's cookies. But at the same time, you also think like every single time he's about to touch Stain or his sword, Deku just slides his sword in there and then slashes at him, and overhaul just has to dodge. Like, there's no other way for that. And eventually Deku wasn't fast enough, and because he was only using he was only using his 75% form because he wanted to save his like full form for like if he needed it, like an absolute dire emergency. And he ends up taking Stain's right arm off and like throwing it away, and Stain just like holding his katana with his left hand jumps back, and he's like, "Well, I guess I'm kind of cooked." And he looks over at Izuku, and he's like, "You could probably have better use of this." Tossing his katana, and Deku catches it, and he's like, wait, what?" Because it didn't even register in his mind everything that happened. And Deku immediately gets angry, activating his full form. He's like, "Liebe, you ready?" And Liebe is just like, "Yes, brother, I'm ready. Let's put an end to this. He hurt our best friend." And Deku, the sword falls into the grimoire, and he pulls it out, doing a reverse grip. Then he throws it up in the air, catching it regular grip, holding it above his head, and he just says, "Infinite slash, Equinox!" Slashing it. And this is like similar to the Yami scene of how he does Dimension slash Equinox. And this just like this, and he says, "Infinite slash Equinox, blunt!" And it slams like overhaul. And if he didn't make it blunt, it would have slashed him in half. But he realized that he can't be killing villains, and he was just like, whatever. And Liebe was like, "You should have killed him." He's like, "Yeah, I know, I wish I could." And they both just are chilling, and he talks to Stain, and he's like, "So do you want me to take you into custody?" And he's like, "Yeah, I don't see why not." And actually Aizawa comes in, he's like, "Yeah, there will be no need." And he's like, "Wait, what?" And Aizawa's just like, he did help out the heroes this one time, So run off now. And Stain's like, okay. And Stain just like, see you. And he dabs up Izuku, and it's just the crispiest dab ever. And he shakes Aizawa's hand. He's like, thank you, sir, with his left hand. And he, like, basically just, like, vanishes. And everyone's like, it's so weird how he can do that. And his quirk doesn't allow him to do that. And they all just started, like, chuckling to themselves. And Deku is just like talking to Aizawa, and we just see a scene of how Eri is riding on top of Aizawa's back, like giving her a piggyback ride, and Deku's walking alongside her, like holding her hand, and they're just walking, and it's just a cute scene. And we actually find out that Aizawa adopted Deku and Eri and Shinso, and just because Dad's Zawa, why not? like, and after this slice of life, he gets with Mirko. They end up having a kid, and we end up finding out the boy's name, and his name is Asta Rumisaki. Well, that was the story, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Remember, like, subscribe, and do all the regular YouTube nonsense. Comment down below what video you'd like to see next, and I hope you guys enjoyed all 4 parts of What If Deku had Asta's Grimoire. Have a wonderful day, and without further ado, peace out.